Let's talk about Easter. But I mean, let's really talk about it. We're going to look past the chocolate bunnies and the colorful eggs to get to the real story, a story of power, betrayal, and an event that literally changed the world forever. You know how it is every spring, right? The store shelves are packed, our homes get decorated. We're all so familiar with the traditions of the modern holiday. We see the brightly colored eggs, the chocolate bunnies, the happy family get-togethers, and yeah, it's a time of celebration for sure. But these modern traditions, they're really just faint echoes of a story that is far more ancient and way more powerful. But what if the real heart of this holiday has absolutely nothing to do with any of that? What if the actual story is more dramatic, more world-changing than you've ever imagined? We're about to dive into a single, world-altering moment. An event that didn't just make a ripple in history, it completely changed its entire course for the next 2,000 years. So our story begins with a leader whose influence was just exploding. His message was one of radical change, and with that kind of power came immense danger. It put a huge target on his back. Picture this. We're going back 2 millennia to the Roman province of Judea. A man named Jesus is gathering these massive crowds. But his power didn't come from swords or armies. Nope. It came from the force of his words, a truth that spoke directly to the hearts of everyday people. So what was this revolutionary message? Well, it was built on 3 simple, yet totally earth-shattering ideas. Love, and not just for your friends, but even for your enemies. Forgiveness, for those who betray you. And faith in a power much greater than any emperor. If you felt powerless, this message was everything. But of course, this growing influence was a direct threat to the powers that be. And then, in a swift act of betrayal, he was sold out by one of his own. Arrested in the dead of night, he wasn't treated like a teacher, but like an enemy of the state. And that betrayal, it marked the beginning of the end. This next phase of the story is dark and it is brutal. For his followers, all the hope and light he had brought into their lives seemed destined to be extinguished forever. Justice, if you can call it that, was swift and ugly. After a sham trial, he was publicly mocked and beaten. The sentence was death by crucifixion, a method designed for maximum pain and humiliation. He was nailed to a cross and just left to die. As he died, it really seemed like the definitive end. The movement was crushed, the leader was dead, and that powerful message of hope was silenced. After his death, his body was taken down and placed in a borrowed tomb carved from rock. A massive stone weighing hundreds of pounds was rolled into place to seal the entrance, making it secure. They even posted Roman guards outside. Then, for a day, and then another, just silence. The world kept turning. For the authorities, the problem was solved. For his followers, who had scattered and gone into hiding, there was only fear. They were terrified that they would be next. And above all, there was doubt, a crushing doubt. They had believed he was the one, and now he was gone. Had they been wrong all along? For 3 days, there was nothing but despair. All hope was gone. And then, the story took a turn no one could have possibly predicted. Something impossible was about to happen. On the morning of the 3rd day, a few of his followers went back to the tomb to grieve. But what they found, well, it defied all logic. That massive stone, it was rolled away. The Roman guards were gone, and inside, the tomb was empty. For his followers, there was only one possible conclusion, a miracle that defied the very laws of nature. He was alive. He had risen from the dead. And that is the moment at the very heart of Easter. So the crucial question is, what does it all mean? Why has this single event resonated through centuries and across all kinds of cultures? The message of the resurrection is one of profound transformation. It declares that death is not the final word. It shows that even after the darkest night, hope can return with the dawn. And it proves that faith has the power to overcome the greatest of obstacles. And this brings us right back to our modern traditions. So why the egg? The symbolism is actually pretty incredible. The tomb was a sealed space of death, from which new life miraculously emerged. Well, an egg is also a hard, sealed shell, from which new life emerges. It's a perfect, natural symbol for the empty tomb. So, at its core, Easter is the story of transformation. It's a powerful reminder, year after year, that even when things seem completely finished, when we are at our lowest point, there is always the possibility of a new beginning. His enemies, the authorities, even some of his own followers, they all believed the story had reached its tragic conclusion on that hill outside Jerusalem. But they were all wrong. The resurrection proved that this wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning.